Dixie here. Today I want to address some tips for older hikers, or what I like to call silver hikers, and for those of us younger hikers who someday want to have the opportunity to be older hikers. I saw Nimblewill Nomad, and some of y'all may also know him by Sunny, this past January at Billy Goat Days. And for those of y'all who aren't familiar with him, he's the fella that broke the record last year for the oldest person to thru hike the AT at 83 years old. And you may also know him from the book that he wrote, 10 Million Steps. But we were sitting by the fire and I looked at Sunny and I said, you know, with all due respect, one day I hope that I'm able to break your record. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, go for it, kid. So ever since then, I've been thinking, well, how does a person make sure that at 84 years old, they can even tie their shoe, let alone be able to thru hike the Appalachian Trail? So on social media, I polled the older hikers and asked them for advice so that people who are already in their older days that want to start hiking, things that they should think about before they go. And then also for us younger folks who want to be older hikers someday, some things that we should think about. The first thing that everyone agreed on is that you have to keep moving. So it's kind of like inertia. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion, and bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. So whatever physical capability you already have, make sure you're staying active at that level and then always trying to improve that. Kind of like the saying, if you don't use it, you might lose it. Next, a lot of the senior hikers in this community said that they tend to hike slower. I think it's important for everybody, regardless of your age, to hike your own hike, listen to your body, go at the pace that is comfortable for you, and don't try to keep up with anybody else, because there will always be somebody who's better, faster, stronger. So you just have to do what works best for you. And I think this is especially true as people tend to age. They notice that maybe they don't go as fast or as hard as they used to up that mountain, but if they start a little bit earlier and they go a little bit later, they can probably still accomplish the same amount of miles and see the same amount of stuff, but they just have to slow down their pace a little bit. But that just means you get to soak it in a little bit more than everyone else who's going twice as fast. Next, take more breaks. Now you might be thinking, well, Dixie, if I'm gonna be hiking slower, how am I supposed to take more breaks too and still get the same amount of miles accomplished? Well, just because you're taking more breaks doesn't mean that they have to be long breaks. Maybe you take 5 to 10 minute break instead of 2 30-minute breaks per day and 1 hour lunch break. You know, you just kind of split those up just so you're giving your body the chance to unload the weight of your pack, to rest your bones, and to hydrate. A lot of people also express the importance of taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. When we're younger, it seems like we can abuse our bodies more and they bounce back much more easily. But as we age, we don't really come back from things as easily. Kind of like when a 2-year-old falls down, you know, they get right back up and keep trucking and it doesn't seem like a big deal. But as an adult, when you fall down on trail, it seems like it hurts just a little bit more. So maybe when you're younger, you can get away with not eating well, not training in between hikes. But as we start to age, that maintenance is more important. And I think the earlier we start to implement taking care of ourselves, the better off we'll be when we're older. Some older hikers have said they've found it really important to train with weights to make sure that they're exercising their body in a way that's used to carrying weight on their backs. Also, so they're used to picking up weight to put it on their back and setting down weight. That way they don't get an injury just in the process of picking up and putting down their pack. Many also swim, do yoga, or take dance classes like Zumba so that they're keeping their body active and limber. And some people said that they also do more what they would call tune-ups, like visiting the chiropractor, getting regular massages, etc. And you can also talk to your doctor about supplements that might be good for you, like fish oil, and helping your joints stay lubed up. Of course, proper nutrition and maintaining a healthy weight for your body is important. A lot of our senior hikers said that they like to keep their mind active in between backpacking trips too, by expanding their horizons and pushing boundaries, learning new things. That way they don't get stagnant and lose that. And of course, mental health is also tied into our emotional and physical well-being too. Another good tip is to avoid injuries. I know that sounds easy, like, well, of course, if I could just go, hey, I'm gonna avoid injury and that'll take care of preventing all injuries, that would be really easy. But I guess doing all of that stuff that I mentioned earlier, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, will definitely contribute to avoiding injury. But also, if you end up with injuries, make sure that you get those taken care of properly, that you rest or do whatever physical therapy is necessary to fix that. So that way it doesn't become a nagging issue that pops up again later on. Another good one is don't ignore changes in your body as you age. I think for a lot of us, and myself included, it's easy to be in denial about things not being like they were when we were younger. So it's almost as if we go, well, if I ignore that, it'll just go away. But there are changes that happen in our bodies as we age that we have to adapt to. That doesn't mean that you still can't get out on trail and enjoy being out there, but you're gonna have to pay attention to those things so they don't become a bigger issue. One example that I wasn't aware of until somebody made a comment about it is that as we age, we can lose some of the fat in the padding on the bottoms of our feet. And so that may be an issue for some people. If you're starting to feel more foot pain, you may have to switch up the footwear that has always worked for you. But these little changes are just things that you might have to work around. Also for women, hormonal changes, making sure that you get that balanced out so that you maintain proper bone health, etc. All of that is important and certainly shouldn't be ignored if you start noticing changes while you're backpacking. It's something that we should identify and then adapt to so that we can keep enjoying ourselves out on trail. Trekking poles. I saw that several people commented that they use trekking poles to help distribute the weight that's on their bodies. It also helps save your knees on downhills. And one of the reasons I like using them is because I'm clumsy, so it helps avoid injury by adding stability when I'm doing things like water crossing, going through mud, or even just on the regular trail. Next is lighten your load. If you invest in more lightweight gear, it will definitely make your backpacking experience more comfortable, and it's going to stress your body less because you're not carrying so much heavy equipment. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and buy absolutely the most lightweight items and that's the only thing that you should focus on. I think that there's definitely a sweet spot, and it's different for everybody, between comfort while hiking and comfort while in camp. So you don't want to just ditch everything and then be super cold or uncomfortable because you don't have some comfort item that you normally would like to have in camp. But you also don't want to carry so much stuff that while you're hiking in the middle of the day, your knees are killing you and it's a whole struggle to just lift your pack up to put it on. So again, that's going to be dependent upon the individual, but definitely focus on getting more lightweight gear and lighten up your load as much as possible to give your body a break. Consider hammocking. A lot of people who start to feel uncomfortable climbing in and out of a tent or sleeping on the hard ground, regardless of what sleeping pad they have, decide to go to the trees, because sleeping in a hammock can be very comfortable. There's less pressure on your body and it's easier to get in and out of because you're not having to like get down on the ground and crawl into a little cave. So if you're finding yourself not wanting to go backpacking because you've got to climb in and out of the tent and you're uncomfortable at night, try hammocking. It might be something that works out much better for you. And there have been people who have had back surgery who are no longer comfortable on the ground. It might not even be an age thing, but they've found a way to backpack again by using hammocks. So I guess I'm saying don't knock it till you try it. And finally, I think the best advice I got was don't wait. If I had $1 for every time I heard somebody say, oh, I wish I had done more of XYZ when I was your age, then I'd probably be like a gazillionaire right now. But it really is a good sentiment, because we're not promised tomorrow, and we're certainly not promised our health tomorrow. So whatever you're able to do right now, if backpacking and spending time in the outdoors is something you want to do, then don't make excuses, just make it happen. Because one day you're going to regret not using your youth while you had it. But even if you're 65 right now and you're listening to this, that applies to you also. Don't wait. Use it now while you can, because when you're 75, you're going to be saying the same thing you were saying at 65, and when you're 85, you'll be saying the same thing about 75. You know, I was so much younger and able to do more then. So use it while you have it. I know some of y'all probably feel like, well, she's a little young to be giving me advice about all this. So if you want to follow a hiker who is in his late 60s and he's into backpacking, through hiking, then check out the Hiking Rev. He actually did a video on this topic that I'm going to link to in the video description, so you can find his channel through that. All right, y'all, well, that is all I have for you today on this topic. Thank you to everybody who contributed tips and advice. And if you've got a piece of advice that I didn't list today, feel free to leave that in the comments, because again, I'm really looking for some good advice so I can beat that record when I turn 84, if somebody hasn't already done it by then. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and we will see y'all next time.